Welcome back to another week of the Unstoppable Force podcast. I'm Guy,
And I'm Rob.
and we're going to talk about some of our older, more beloved games today.
Yeah, we'll take a trip down memory lane and kind of see how it compares to what we see in gaming now.
hmm We've been doing a lot of news lately, and wanted to try to do something that I think everyone can kind of look back on and appreciate. Something
Yeah,
like all the games that built us to where we are
yeah,
today. And a lot of what shaped our childhood, because I think both of us played a lot of video games growing up.
yeah. Fair enough.
I think I played probably more.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: I didn't have any of the Nintendo consoles.
Mhm.
My first console was PlayStation 2.
Basically, my first console was I guess you could say it was Nintendo 64.
Mm.
But I definitely didn't there's a few games I played a ton of. The game system that I played the most games on, and I think really was my first
Mm.
console that I actively used more than
Yeah.
anything else, was definitely the PlayStation 2.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know the timeline or really remember it, but I definitely played a whole ton of Game Boy and stuff, like Game
Oh
Boy
yeah.
SP and even
I guess I'm not even
Color.
thinking of the
Uh,
handhelds, but now
Right.
that you mention it,
I mean,
that kind of
the,
changes everything.
and because as a kid, it's way more accessible and more oh, okay, he's just being preoccupied with this
Mhm.
instead of glued to the TV. It's
Yeah, I think for some reason people thought that it was small and was in your hand, that it was somehow less
yeah,
um horrible for you. And then
hmm,
also the fact that you could bring it with you on a plane, and it's
yeah,
oh,
oh,
my 7-year-old's
hmm,
being so quiet.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I will always let him play with that, because the alternative is terrible.
yeah. Or you can be outside and kind of play.
hmm
Oh, I'm going to hang out. It's you just bring
Oh
your
yeah, go to the park.
yeah,
I remember I used to bring it to
yeah,
camp.
yeah.
Um the Game Boy Advanced was
Hmm.
the
Advanced.
first one.
Yeah,
And it was I remember it didn't even have a backlight. Do you remember that?
yeah.
You actually would get attachments.
They went over it and kind of
Yeah.
put a flashlight on there, like one of those book reader lights that was
Yeah, it
on
was
your.
so weird. And then you could close them with them, or
Yeah,
they could be a cover, and you had a
yeah,
button, and it folds out.
yeah,
Or I remember I would have to either do that, or be directly under a lamp,
yeah.
just trying to be able to see my
Mhm.
Pokemon Blue, I think
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
why. Well, I think it was SP. Was that when it changed the game, or did they
Yeah,
have a
that was when it turned into the first flip
flip?
one
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
backlight.
yeah. And that was when you could play under the covers.
Oh
So
yeah. I think that was along. Yeah, I would argue that that might be my number one most played handheld, next to the DS, if you include the DS Lite.
okay, yeah. I think I only played the DS more because I had more. No, because I played both of them probably a lot, but with the Game Boy, it was always
hmm
oh, let me play under the covers and not really. And the same thing happened with the DS. And but I remember playing with the DS when you can connect and play games together wirelessly, and played a bunch on road trips or whatever, or
hmm
talking, chatting. If we're supposed to go to sleep and my sister had her DS, we would just picto chat on
Yeah,
there and just do whatever.
that was so much fun. All those days of the handhelds.
Yeah.
Honestly, the handhelds were more fun in a
But
lot of ways. I
I
feel like they don't get the same credit as
no,
Then again, it's
no.
only
I
Nintendo.
think younger. I think the handhelds are. I was dare to say still a younger audience
hmm
because I don't have
Entry
to
level.
if I'm a kid, I don't have to worry about driving anywhere. Now, if I want to go somewhere, I can't sit in the back seat and play a video game. I'm the one driving where I want to go.
Well, now everyone has smartphones, so there's not
That's
even a need for it
on top of
anymore.
that. Yes, now there's mobile gaming, but even mobile gaming, I need to not be the one driving somewhere,
Yeah,
or going to school or whatever it is that you're doing.
it is actually kind of scary how your phone has ultimately replaced any sort of mobile gaming
Mm,
device.
yeah,
And that's kind of, I mean, when
that's
you think of how the Nintendo Switch did things, they're probably okay, wait, guys, I don't think we can fight,
mhm,
with
mobile gaming.
mobile gaming
Yeah,
anymore for handheld playing, so might as well just go full
console.
console, and then make it also mobile
Yeah,
at the
a
same
sad
time.
excuse for a mobile gaming.
It's not that sad though. I mean, you
It's
can
high.
absolutely play good
Look,
games on it.
yes, but it to be mobile, like it doesn't. It's not nearly as mobile. Is all I'm saying. Like you can bring it somewhere. It's like my gaming laptop. Okay, I can bring my gaming laptop somewhere. It's portable, and I can go hook it up, but I have to plug it in order to be able to basically use it.
Well, you get about like 3
3
hours.
hours on the
Yeah.
Switch. So if you're like out and then like you're somewhere, you need to plug that in at some point to keep playing.
I guess I just can't imagine a scenario of me bringing it out with me that I need more than 3 hours that I won't at some point have access to
Like
a
like
charging
a car
station.
charger or
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like, if I'm going to an airplane, right? I'm getting on an airplane. Yeah, I could be a 30-year-old guy with his DS,
Mhm,
and I mean, like even Phil DeFranco
mm,
goes and talks about how he plays his DS on
yeah.
flights and stuff. And you can bring it with you. You have it in your bag. You don't have it all plugged in. You get
Mm,
there, you sit down, you pull it out. No mouse. You don't have to like
yeah.
get a spot to like be able to move your right arm on.
Yeah, yeah.
And then obviously you can't use a trackpad
Right.
for gaming. And it takes up a lot more space, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's like you just pull that out, you just play that, and then it's like, you get on the flight, 2 hours go by, and you're like, oh, okay, I need to charge it. You charge it for like
Yeah.
30 minutes, and it's back to like full
Mm.
charge. And
Yeah.
I guess probably a little more than that, like 45 minutes an hour.
You make a good point. Like I hadn't considered how like prevalent now like outlets are everywhere
Hmm.
when you go. Like it used to be like, oh, charge up everything, make sure everything's good, so then you can do whatever. Because you never used to have a plug on like the most basic airline to go fly, or like when you're sitting down waiting for your flight, or wherever it is. Like the public charging ports are now like
Hmm.
everywhere, or like places you go eat, now those places have places to plug in. So like it makes a lot more sense that we can do that now because back then that was never ever a thing.
Yeah, I think also, you know, these devices back then were built to last like so long, so many
Yeah.
hours. Um, And now, like, not even your phone, if you play it for 3 hours, 4 hours straight, is going to last very long. And we also have like a limitation on the size of batteries and
Mm.
storage of batteries
Yeah.
to
Well,
fit into these devices, and they
mm.
all get constantly are getting smaller. And then
Yeah.
even when you're, you could say like, oh, the Switch is bigger than my 3DS,
Mm.
but it's a console,
Yeah.
so it's smaller than a normal console. So it's kind of still that stepping down in size. And even like Xbox and PlayStation have like made their boxes smaller with
Mm.
each big upgrade of
Yeah.
technology. I
Yeah. Yeah.
think they're probably not going to get any smaller than they currently are though for consoles, because you kind of can't.
Um. They can.
They also
Mm.
did get bigger and then smaller. They got like bigger right
Yeah.
when Xbox came out, like original
Yeah.
Xbox. That was huge, that
Mm.
console.
I remember the fat PlayStation 3,
Hmm.
but like yeah, that's the thing with the Switch. Like, you get the upgrade with the playing better games, better graphics, performance, and that's what we didn't have with like the DS. Like, they were
Hmm.
good, but they were like still you had like the granted it's back kind of bit, but still like it's smaller, so they knew how to conserve like the battery and have like a lower like
Yeah.
demand on the game. So that's what.
Honestly, too, like they garnered their entire mobile audience and
Mm,
console audience onto one platform,
yeah.
and that's like really good for just general sales too.
Mm,
Like
mm,
now, this new Pokemon game that's coming out, it's way more expansive and has like way more like rendering that it needs to do, because there's not even like individual paths. There's actually like open fields,
yeah.
and you can like go between like grass pads, essentially grass like patches. And it's a completely different design than any of the previous games, because they have such a big massive jump in the specifications of the device. Because even between a DS and a 3DS, when you had to keep it the exact same size,
Mm,
it has its limitations in the form of that little tiny box.
yeah.
But a Switch is 4 or 5 times the
Hmm.
size of a little 3DS.
Yeah.
It can do so much more.
And like you can't forget about the good old Wii U,
Hmm.
where
Oh
like
God.
I guess that was a sort of attempt at getting at a Switch. It was like I don't know. I guess you can call it that.
It was them thinking that the tablet era was the next big thing,
Yeah.
and they were trying to turn their games into half tablet, half TV. And I think this one they realized no, people just want TV
Mm.
or they just want tablet.
Yeah.
They don't want them two mixed together.
Yeah.
And that's how they came up with the tablet that when you put into a dock goes on the
Yeah,
TV.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like we like focusing very hard on Nintendo though.
Yeah.
And both of our
I
both
mean,
of
it's
our
just
original consoles were PlayStation. So,
yeah. Come back. Go back to it.
um, I mean, what was your favorite game back in like PlayStation 2 days?
All right. I believe God of War was that era, right?
I
Had to
think so. Like one of
the
the
first
two
one.
early ones or
Yeah,
first one.
like the first one, definitely. Well, I think one of the first games I had was Spider-Man with like it was like the Tobey Maguire one.
I don't
They
think I
made into the
actually played
game,
that one.
and that was good. But they had like Shocker in it too. So like it wasn't even like it was like partly based on the movies, but like they threw some other stuff in there. But that was
Hmm.
like a really good game. And then I had the original, not original, but like Call of Duty 2. And I remember getting that game, somehow
Oh
convincing my
yeah.
mom to get me that game. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like,
Dude, I think
I'm
I
not gonna become a
convinced my
school
dad
shooter, I
to.
promise. Like, come on.
I think I convinced my dad to get me Vice City.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, or I think I also had San Andreas.
Oh yeah, I definitely had San Andreas. I got San Andreas at some point. I think I got that
Oof,
from
San Andreas, so
like
good.
a some tag sale or some shit somehow.
Hmm.
Definitely didn't get it in like the store. There's no way I was gonna convince my mom to get me that.
At the tag sales, you're just like, "Oh,
Oh, it's
mom,
a
can I have
game.
$5?" And they
Yeah,
hand it to you,
there
and
you
it's
go.
like they don't care what age you
Yeah,
are; they're just
exactly.
gonna hand that shit over.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you
But
mentioned
so
Call of Duty 2 though,
yeah.
and I remember Call of Duty 2, but there was also like a lot of really
Mm.
fun,
Like war games.
yeah, like the war games, the shooting games. Like one of the ones that stands out in my memory is Medal of Honor:
Mm.
Rising Sun.
Okay.
And I think there was also like
Um,
another Medal of Honor
like,
that was like World War II focused on the
yeah.
European front
Yeah, yeah.
versus the Japanese front, which is Rising Sun.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think it was like not Valor or something.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I definitely played a Medal of Honor, and that was like before the online Call of Duty game
It's
and
kind of
stuff.
crazy how like Medal of Honor died, and they
Well, kind.
tried to come out with new ones
Mm,
more recently, and they just
mm.
flop.
Yeah, it's weird. I always felt that Medal of Honor was way closer to like Bad Company and then Battlefield than ever close to Call of Duty. I like
I
Call of
always
Duty.
remembered them as single player
Yeah, yeah.
experiences versus multiplayer, and they definitely were designed from a single player perspective way closer to Call of Duty than to Battlefield, because Battlefield always had the big open
Hmm.
battlefields.
Well, like Bad Company came before. That was before they had Bad Company was before they had the multiplayer. Like before that, like that was multiplayer.
Yeah, that was
Kind
would you
of
mean
like
Bad Company 1 or Bad Company 2? Cuz a lot of
two was
people
online.
say 2 is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And that was kind of what I think laid the framework or the groundwork for
Mhm.
what the multiplayer and all the following
Mm,
Battlefields kind of did.
yeah.
I don't really remember much of the early Battlefield multiplayers though, but I do know that almost all of them were always designed with like big open fields you can run
Yeah,
through
yeah.
versus the Call of Duty games, which were always about like corridors, and then
Mm,
if there was an open field, it was a small open field, and it was
hmm.
an enclosed open field where there was like some other exits and entrances, and that's how I always remembered Medal of Honor being designed.
Yeah, I do remember a lot of trench. Like not quite trenches, but like
Mhm.
sort of trench warfare. Not trenches, like the barracks kind of when you run under the ground, all like that
Yeah.
with like your like the shotgun that was like I
Hmm.
forget what they called that thing.
It's a trench shotgun.
Trench gun. Yeah, the
Yeah.
trench gun. Yeah.
Dude, oh my god, you're making me think now about like zombies,
Oh yeah.
original
Oh, so
zombies.
okay, so then um after PS2, I got into Xbox 360, and that was like the online when online. I played it. I played like what was it? Gears of War, right? Like
Hmm.
three or whatever, two, three.
I never like fully got into
But
Gears.
but then yeah, like when online kind of I discovered that was like World at War
Hmm.
when that first like kicked the Call of Duty off because I didn't play any of the like Modern Warfare 1.
It was kind of weird how like online. Like in the Xbox and PlayStation 2 days, multiplayer online was almost like not. It was a thing that you could pay for and do, but
Yeah.
none of your friends were down, or none of your
Mhm.
friends were on it, and
Yeah.
there was not really like the community, I think, to the same extent. And then the third generation, the Xbox 360 and
Yeah.
the PlayStation 3 came out
Yeah.
and basically made it mandatory that you have online from that point forward.
Yeah.
And that's when like the whole multiplayer explosion occurred.
Mhm.
Battle or a Call of Duty 4 came out.
Yeah.
Battlefield 2, I think, or Bad Company
Mm,
2 was on that console.
yeah. Yeah. That was when it was on.
Yeah. I mean, like Halo 3
Mhm. Yeah.
was it was Halo 3
Halo
360, or was it actually Xbox? No, it was 360. It was
has to
360.
be.
Because I didn't, like I said, I didn't play online on Halo
Uh-huh.
or on Xbox. Even Halo 2 was on 360, actually. Now that I'm
Okay.
thinking about it.
I only picked up Halo 3, and that was mainly
Or
for
was
the
it?
multiplayer, actually.
Which one? Halo 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the Halo single players are all like pretty good, but
Mhm.
they've never been like really good,
Yeah.
really, really good. Just like you feel like such a badass when you play them. I think
Yeah.
that's what people really liked about it. It's a bit of
Yeah.
a power trip. But the multiplayer in that game, especially custom maps, was the most fun in any game. And I'm actually like annoyed, really annoyed with um the Halo franchise. It could be Bungie, it could be 343
Mhm.
Industries, because they had no idea why people liked Forge,
Yeah.
and they like did it wrong
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
game following, and every game they made it worse because they couldn't figure out why people liked it in the first place and kept making it less in the direction of that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. How much did you play custom maps in Halo 3?
I I played it. I don't. I just played like whatever. Like it was like, oh, get Halo because we got to play
Mhm.
online. So I was like always just playing whatever, like dicking around. I remember like just out of nowhere, just like, all right, we're in this thing, and I'm like, okay, what's this? Like, no, just pick shit up and move it around, and like let's put some shit here. I'm like, oh, okay, now we're just
Mhm.
gonna mess around with this like creator. Yeah, I remember doing
Yeah.
that stuff.
I mean, there was like the duck hunt mode, there was
Hmm.
like battle
Oh
arenas,
yeah,
there
yeah.
was I created so many
Innocent
modes.
infection, right?
Infection never
Yeah.
was the same after that
No,
first one.
no, no, no.
They never captured the beauty of Infection. In fact, actually, I think Infection to this day could be its own game,
Hmm.
and no one has captured the fun of Infection in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form.
No.
Because like the whole idea was that they were insanely fast,
Mm.
but they died in one shot.
Yeah.
So no one understands why those two things together is so important for that mode. It's because if you see one, panic, fear,
Yeah.
instinct kicks in, because between when you see them and when they get in front of you is very
Yeah.
small amount of
Yeah.
time to
Yeah.
react. But if you are able to react in time and kill them,
You survive.
you survive.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's this really high intensity moments constantly as you play. And you could even create maps around it. There was one map that was like it would be pitch black,
Mm.
using like the image things that could like make like the coloration of like
Oh
the
yeah.
sun and or like the whatever
Black
you
it
could.
out.
I don't know if that was in Reach, actually, could be. But there was one where you made the entire map like pitch black,
Mm.
and after a timer, the single infected would be released, and it would be
Yeah.
hard for him to see, but also hard for you, and you would
What
have
the
to like
hell?
hide
Yeah.
and like sneak around and like quietly
Oh
move
my god.
around, and it was like so
Dude,
intense.
it's like aliens,
Hmm.
right?
And then none of the games afterwards were fun. These are the core reasons why everything. Okay, I just need to rant for a second
All
because
right.
I've been given the opportunity here. Core reasons why it sucked. Ready?
Good.
First, one of the best maps in Halo 3 was Foundry. It
Yeah.
was small.
Yeah.
Okay. None of the Forge maps following the creation of Halo 3 have been a small sandbox. They've all been these like, oh, Forge world where you can go into this hangar and
Mhm.
make stuff, and that's small, so that's your small space. And then like look at these like crazy islands and shit that you can do, and it's like it's awesome, but I'd like my small map that I can heavily customize, please.
Yeah.
For like more intense like arena games and stuff. And then the second thing they did is instead of making like cool structures that you can put down or making more smaller forge maps, they decided that it'd be more fun to instead of allow you to like put down cool structures, we'll make you make the structures. So now I've got to place like these basic slab walls
Oh
and
my
like
god.
ground, and it looks terrible when it's done, even if I make a box. You know, might as well just made me a cool like arena box thing that I can put down than make me fucking build it
Oh my god.
myself.
Yeah,
And then they kept doing that. They kept making it more Forge worldy
yeah.
and like
More
more,
like Minecraft.
yeah, and then like where you had to like put everything together yourself.
Yeah.
And it was like back in Halo 3, we would take the maps that did not make sense at all in Forge
Mhm.
and turn them into sick maps
Yeah.
by like breaking things, putting things together by saving them
Mhm.
and then reloading the maps, and then the things would like overlap each
Mhm.
other.
I still
And
I gotta stand by
ugh,
like Halo 3 and like the multiplayer and all that being still the best
still,
one.
yeah.
Every one after that just was downhill after that. They definitely couldn't do it
Mm.
again.
I just love Forge so much in that game. I spent so much time making maps, and then they just made it so complex.
Yeah.
And it like now you can like move things by like 0.001 like to the X and Y
Oh,
axis, and like your
oh my
menus are
god.
like it's like basically a modding like creative tool now
Yeah, yeah.
to like make maps, and it is not what anyone
Oh,
wanted.
they gave you developer tools basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the reason why Halo 3 worked was because there was barely any stuff, but all the stuff was specific to that map and was like cool and different and
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like they had no idea. There was even, I remember making this insane map where it was like this compound and it was an infection map. And it was like completely locked off, and you could like teleport to a platform that was hanging off the
Oh
wall in
my
the
god.
ceiling with
Yeah.
like mongooses and shit and like different vehicles, so you could choose to like leave the compound and go like full guns
Oh my
blazing
gosh.
against like the leftover infected and shit. And then the whole base was covered in like there was a armory room, there was like stations with machine guns,
Mhm.
and it was like really hard to get in, but you could like squeeze yourself in different locations.
Yeah.
So like you would see them like trying to get in on the outside, and then like at some point they would get in.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, fuck, like where are they? Where are they gonna come from? And
Oh my
like you're
god.
defending down the hallways and shit. And
Yeah.
like you couldn't do that in any of the next ones because it was always insanely difficult to make the bases and be
Yeah.
able to creatively throw things together that's like simple and easy, and even the casual player can do it. And it turned into this thing where like only players who spent hundreds of hours in Forge could make stuff that was worthy of like being downloadable and fun. Okay, done with the rant. Sorry. Ranting too long on Halo.
Well, so do you have any faith in the new Halo then?
I'm thinking that is a possibility that with each game, since they got way, way, way more like weird creative
Yeah.
developer tool ish, even with the last one
Yeah.
being a whole entire separate game, you had to
Mhm.
download and you could actually
Yeah.
get it on PC.
Okay.
And it was so like, putting together pieces and blocks. There was no like just cool creative individual items at all, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but that was the most recent, and I'm hoping that maybe they realized that since not a single person basically played it at all
Yeah.
whatsoever, it's one of two things. Either
Gone.
it's gone,
Mm.
or they realize why Halo 3 worked, and every single game following it, the number of people who played decreased.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing too is like if they inhibited more creative sharing through the game itself, like the ability to like share maps
Yes,
and
and then you
like
can like
vote, and being able to go into games and have like
mm,
dedicated servers
yeah,
from Microsoft for custom maps.
and like have them all rated and
Hmm.
stuff like that, most popular, and then it shows you all like the best
Right.
ones.
And like you can like make maps, you can suggest maps, and you can like do like more
Yeah.
things like that. I
Mm.
think that and then also simplify it, make smaller forge maps instead of these big gigantic ones that are more like specialized to the different fun things you can do.
Yeah, because they kind of missed it all, like you said, but a lot of it's like making it, and you have like your small group of friends that you're dicking around with, that you're gonna play with, and you're not really gonna be playing with like whatever, like 16v16. It's like what,
Mhm.
like that's not gonna happen when you're like creating your own maps. You're like, we're gonna play on it, and if other people play on it, whatever, like it's able to like get access, but mainly it's just so like 4, 6 people or whatever are playing,
Yeah, you
and
don't
that's
need to
it.
have like a
Yeah,
ton. You
yeah,
know, a game of infection, you need one killer and
like,
three, four,
yeah,
five survivors.
exactly.
And you know, even on top of that, I remember back in the Halo 360 day or the Xbox
That's right.
360
Yeah,
days, you just go into your recent friends list
yeah.
and just or a recent played with
Oh
list or
yeah.
recent whatever players,
Mhm.
and there'd be like 50 of them, and you just like go down and you just
Yeah,
invite every single person, and you might get like three or four, and
yeah,
then you go custom game, and they
yeah,
go sure.
yeah, yeah.
It was so easy to find people back then. You could even like make your own maps and like actually have people play on them and have it be like super um rewarding.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the all of these custom map games, things like that, like usually there's such a small number of people playing the
Mhm.
actual custom maps that there's also not a lot of people making them.
Yeah, basically the model you'd have to almost go for, I want to say, is like the Mario Maker, where like
Yeah.
you're making it and you set it out there, and then people are playing it, rating it. You get to see how, their performance or whatever, and then you can follow the
Hmm.
creator and do all that. So people are playing it, and you know that like people like it if there's a lot more people playing it.
Yeah.
But if you're just, I'm gonna make all this, we're gonna play it a few times, few people, and that's it. Like then it's like I don't care.
Hmm. We kind of like derailed off nostalgia into like a Halo 3
I
like
mean, kind of, yeah.
I guess the Halo 3 is still very nostalgic.
I mean, that's kind of one of the beginning of the multiplayer
Yeah.
explosion, right?
That along with like
Right,
Call of
you're
Duty
right. That
4.
that's what I'm saying. Like those ones, but
I
like,
would say that those two games specifically are probably
hmm.
the two most
I mean,
well known.
yeah, the most like direct. Whenever it's like, oh, PlayStation versus Xbox, so it's like Halo versus Call of Duty. Like, oh, like
Hmm.
I like
Even though
this, and
Call of
please.
Duty was on both,
Right, but it
it
just
was
always
like,
felt like you're
yeah,
like it's like the verses.
those were
So
like the two shooters
yeah.
that really dominated the
Oh
scene.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, I do miss I miss Halo 4. I mean, Halo 3.
3.
I'm curious if they will go back and look at it and really try to learn why Halo 3 did so phenomenally. Because I think that all the clues are there, and if they just turn back the dials a little bit but keep, you know, all the newer ones like
Yeah.
the big multiplayer updates and all the cool like ranking systems and um you can make Forge you can make two different types of Forge. You can make the Forge map that's super creative and like build block almost kind of situation. And then have the ones that are like more smaller and sandboxy.
Mm. I don't know. I just randomly thought of back in Xbox 360, being able to be in a party and watch Netflix together.
In Halo
No,
360.
no, I'm just saying like Xbox 360.
Oh yeah, I keep saying Halo 360. I don't know why. Yeah, Xbox. Sorry.
It was definitely in there. It was like you just go in and like you're all like watching a movie together. I don't know. It's just
That was like a feature. I don't remember that. That sounds
unless it was
awesome
a
though.
PlayStation thing
Might be a PlayStation thing.
at that time. Because that was like the whole Blu-ray. Well, that was like PlayStation's thing. PlayStation 3 was like, oh yeah, we got the Blu-ray
Hmm.
player.
I thought Halo or
Oh
I almost said
my
Halo
god.
360 again. Xbox 360.
No,
I thought it
I
had
think the Pro.
Blu-ray.
I think when they got like the, how was it, Pro or something, whatever level up one. I think that's when they got the Blu-ray player.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, whew,
Um,
there is there is so many good old games. I don't even think we'd really touched on
no,
like half of them.
no, no. I definitely didn't have very many like PlayStation 2 games. I remember playing at a friend's house like the Sly Cooper games
Yes,
and
those
like
are a
the
big part of
airplane
my
games.
childhood.
Yeah, I played Sly Cooper like a lot.
I think
Uh,
I played all of them except for the most recent one because I
hmm.
didn't have a PlayStation 3.
Oh, I even played the Sly Cooper Vita game they came out with.
Really,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
thought it
even
was
get the
pretty good.
Vita.
I had the Vita for a bit, and then they just like stopped support in this last year. Uh, I don't know. It was okay, I guess. It was like I never had the PSP, and I
I
always
had
wanted it,
that.
but and then when I got the PS Vita, I was like, oh, this is what I was missing. Okay, yeah, I don't care anymore. I
Yeah, the PlayStation Portable was I did get it and I played quite a few games on
Mm.
it.
You ever played the Battlefront? Right? I think it's
I
Battlefront. The
think I
Star
played the
Wars. Because I
Battlefront
remember the
one.
Star Wars advertisements where like they would get the Star Wars version of the PSP, and I
Hmm.
knew somebody that had that. I'm like, that was the sickest thing ever. And
I didn't have that version. I think I had like the basic one.
mm,
But I remember they had like a an X-Men game that I had played, like some weird like shooter game that I played that I don't even remember the name of.
huh,
That and there's like the only two that I actually like remember playing.
wow.
It was not a very fun console. The games on it were weird. They were like not full games, but they weren't like
Hmm.
fun on their own either.
Yeah,
They were like made for the PSP, and
yeah.
therefore they definitely like had a different design to them. It was weird. I think that's actually people probably blame the console itself, but I would say that if there's good games on a console, people play it on the console. The console is just a means through which to play the games. I think it's the games that were
I
really the big flop of these, attempts, PlayStation
sort of.
Vita
I mean, the
or
Vita had. Yeah, they were definitely like lacking some certain games, but I will say that they definitely made it way better as far as full games or partial
yeah.
games. Like I've had played the Assassin's Creed, one of the games they released on there. That was the version of the Vita I got. It was the like Assassin's Creed, and that was pretty good on there. Like PlayStation All Stars. That's one game that I freaking
Mhm.
want them to come back with. That was on PS3, and then they had also made it onto the Vita, where it was just the PlayStation characters. Like you had Nathan Drake and like Big Daddy from BioShock and like the Killzone dude, I don't know that dude. And then Isaac from Dead Space.
Mhm.
Sly Cooper was in it.
What was that game
Um
called again?
which one?
It was like the Super Smash
PlayStation All
Brothers
Stars.
All Stars. That was it.
PlayStation All Stars. I think it was even called Battle Royale. PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. I think
Was it really?
I'll look it up right now. But yeah.
That would be interesting if they coined the battle
Well, because it was the
royale.
last man standing. That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, then Smash is also kind of a battle royale, which
Yeah,
is
absolutely. It was
is
just
true.
yeah, it was called PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
Hmm. It's pretty funny. That's like
Yeah.
way before the battle royale
Hmm.
explosion.
Yeah.
Is that
Kratos was
the
in it.
only game that has
Yeah.
used that term?
Uh. Yeah, I think so. And I'm so mad because it was basically Smash, right? But for
Mm,
PlayStation, and they like the mechanics that they came up with like your Smash or Ultimate or whatever. That was so good, and they had like Kratos and Ratchet and Clank,
hmm
and Cole from Infamous. That was a freaking good game. I remember that game.
I wonder why they didn't like continue it, or maybe it just didn't do well.
It definitely did. It had to do well. I don't know the numbers,
And
but
that was on Vita.
it was on PS3 initially, and then
Mm,
they made it onto the Vita, so you could play, and then you could play on Vita against the PlayStation.
okay. Because I was gonna say, one of the main reasons I could think of like Vitas and PSPs not doing particularly well is because like if they're trying really hard to be a console, right?
Mm.
And they're like all the games that are coming out on consoles come out on this, or
Yeah.
whether it's like a worse version or like something that's pseudo console level for like the PSP, because they would go for
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that like you come home and you've got this PSP in your hand, you're like, well, I'd rather play the console.
Yeah. Definitely.
So like, and then if you're playing a game like the Vita and you're like, oh, I want to continue where I left off on my Vita version
Yeah.
on
Well,
my
you
PlayStation version,
so they did that with the Vita.
they
There
did
was
where
a
you could like,
connect. Yeah, you can connect your Vita up into your PlayStation,
Hmm.
and then play like as a controller with your Vita
Okay.
onto there.
So that's like I guess
So that was like the before
like
like
the
the Switch,
Switch.
yeah,
Yeah.
like doing that, like having console like the portable and then going to console. I totally
Hmm.
remember the connecting it into there.
Because then I think that makes it like more interesting, where you can basically take your Vita, or sorry, take your PlayStation
Yeah,
3 on the go,
yeah,
and then come back home, and then go back to where you were.
yeah,
I think that's where like the problem with these consoles. You either have to be full handheld, full console. But if you try to like have sex with each other and form like some, dis what's the word for, like, dis
uh,
disgusting, like, weird bulbous combination of the
yeah,
two, where it's like not so much one, not so much the other.
yeah,
I think people just kind of like play it and then they go, oh well, I'd rather just do one of the other two and just
yeah,
kind of go back to console or go back to like their uh I don't know, their Nintendo handheld instead.
yeah, yeah.
Um, was there any other like really big games of my
Um,
childhood?
I
You
mean, it's
actually
not trying.
mentioned Spider-Man, and I
Yeah,
played the Spider-Man on Nintendo 64 a ton. I don't know if
I
you
have
remember that
no
one.
idea. No, I don't even think I ever actually played a Nintendo 64. I played like GameCube. That's like the oldest thing I probably played.
I feel like I don't even
I
remember
played
if
an
I
Atari.
remember if it was good.
I had my mom had an Atari old school, so I played that.
Okay.
So the technically first console, but like
Hmm.
come on, the first my own console, I guess.
Right.
The different generation.
Yeah. And it's also like not gonna capture your attention in the same way as the newer games do because they're
Yeah.
just so much more
Hmm.
in depth.
Yeah.
Uh, but like it's weird because I was so young when I played those games, like
Yeah.
the Nintendo 64 games. Like I said, I don't even remember if my perception of the Spider-Man games being good is correct or
Oh my
not.
god.
Because like when you're a little
You
kid,
had fun. You didn't
everything is
really.
fun,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
so you didn't even know.
That's probably the same thing with Spider-Man. Like I could probably say it was good, and like consensus kind of says that
I
on
think so.
those.
The PlayStation 2
Yeah.
one I think is known to be a
Yeah.
pretty good one.
Yeah.
I never played it. I only played the Insomniacs
Hmm.
one,
Oh,
which I have not finished.
you know the game called Beautiful Joe?
What is it called?
Beautiful Joe, like beautiful, but it's a V.
Is that like those
Like the
weird?
2D, he has like a cape type of superhero dude that you're like, it's like kind of scrolling in a sense,
I don't think so.
and it's like sort of arcade, and um,
Beautiful Joe?
yeah,
For a second, I thought you were talking about that game where it's a short
he was in,
guy with like black hair with all these like
was he?
hot naked women around him.
Oh,
I forget what
okay.
that's
No,
called.
no, no.
I never played that
I
and could
think
always
he
see
was
it.
actually in a Capcom. I think he was a Capcom character,
Okay.
and I think he was in one of the Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Hmm.
But like he was like a tiny like in the world it's like a tiny like super buff dude with like red spandex and like he had superpowers whatever and it was like almost hack and slash in like 2D is sort of but you can kind of move around like I that's basically kind of like
I mean, a
and
lot of
that's
the
like an
old games were
old
that like
game.
side scroller, or
Yeah, yeah.
like Metal Slug or um Contra,
Yeah.
like those old weird games.
um and I played Midnight Run, I think.
Hmm.
Those racing games, even Need for Speed. Oh my god. Okay, I had Need for Speed Most Wanted on PlayStation 2,
Dude,
and you're
Most
gonna love this.
Wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
forgot about Most Wanted.
I,
That was definitely
I
my
mean,
number one
the, the
racing
reason I
game.
remember this one the most because this was when I got a wheel for the
Hmm.
game, but I didn't
Yeah,
have any good setup. So the way we set it up was back when the TVs were like as thick as they were wide. I had that on like my dresser, and what I did was took a plank of wood, shoved that shit under the TV
that's
so it
great.
hang out over there. Then I took my
Hmm.
chair and I slid it up there, attached the wheel on this plank of wood, and was driving on like this piece of plywood hanging out
That's
out over my
amazing.
TV. But it was still so awesome.
Dude, Most Wanted, once again, it reminds me of Halo 3 in that it was just the best of the Need for Speed series as a whole, and then not a single game following it could match its
Right.
charm no matter
Right.
how hard they tried.
Yeah.
And it was just because it was like, I think it was really simple.
Mm.
The game mechanic was just, you go up against a person, if you beat them, you get their car.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just that cool
And
concept.
like the police, it was like when the police could come after you, and you're
Hmm.
like just trying to outrun them.
Yeah, and they I don't even know how to explain it because even I remember enjoying it so much and then trying like the very next one and just not enjoying it and
Yeah.
not even like fully understanding why when the games were so similar. There's just some sort of reward system in Wanted that
Yeah.
made you feel
Yeah.
like you were doing shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And I think like part of it was that feeling of like conquering a person and then getting their car. It was
Yeah.
so
Yeah. The
cool.
pink slips. Hell yeah.
We could probably talk all night for all the games that we've played growing up.
Oh yeah.
I haven't even like touched like uh the different RTSs I played, like
Mm.
Age of Empires,
Right.
Age of Mythology.
That's all like PC stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't touch PC for a while. Um. I had like played those little stupid games, like obviously stupid flash games, but like yeah,
Hmm.
like I don't know if it was McDonald's or what the hell it was, some like reward or thing. It was a disc, the little tiny disc video little game. It was like X-Men whatever, and like you pop it in there, and I was like playing one of those X-Men games, or it wasn't even like a full game.
For like PC?
Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah, like
Like a tiny little one?
yeah, it was weird.
Didn't they do something like that for like Happy Meals or
Yeah, I think that's
something?
where it kind of came from. Yeah.
I feel like I remember that too. Like very
Otherwise,
faintly.
otherwise it was just I remember like Teen Titans had a game on Cartoon Network
Hmm.
and all those. But no, I never played like a full. I played like this one first person shooter from like Staples. It was like one of the first games that I think I bought from like to play on the computer, and it was like super basic, super like the geometry was just so bland, and it was like all desert cave, and they would like look like just the generic terrorist type from like Disco or something, which is like the black
Hmm.
like balaclava and whatever, and just going and like getting stuck on this one level and not having any sort of guide because back then that's not what you didn't have any of that shit, and you just kept playing until you tried to beat it. But no, like I didn't play any like mainstream like big like games, or especially RTSs were not like oh
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like you kind of had to stumble upon them. I think a lot of people weren't big PC gamers at that time period, like in the heyday of the major consoles. So I forget how I even got the first one. It might have been playing it on like cousin's computer or like a friend's computer.
yeah.
But I remember getting into like The Sims as
Okay,
well.
or it's like Zoo Tycoon or
Hmm.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
those.
remember Zoo Tycoon. Yeah.
Dude, it just all of this talk reminds me of the days when a game cost an amount of money, you bought it,
It had an activation
and
code, and that
yeah,
was it.
you just played it, and like the developers were just like, okay, we're gonna make a game
Finish it.
that just from start to finish you enjoy, and then that's it. And it's like nowadays, it's not enough for anybody.
Oh, on top of now, everything has to stay connected online. You
Yeah.
have like even to Need for Speed, you need to be connected online to play, or the crew, or whatever, or any like game if you want it to be updated or patched. It all needs to be online, even if it's
Hmm.
not an online game. It's and I mean, and most games are actually online at this point. Like a lot of gaming went that way, where like the single player kind of it's not dead to say, but like
Well,
it's definitely in the background more so than it probably should be.
if you mean like single player games in
Like
general, I would disagree. But if you're saying like single player games that aren't always online, then I'd agree.
okay,
Because I think that a lot of single player
yeah,
games now like to use online functions and like features to bolster the single player. But I do think like there's still a lot of games that
yeah,
don't require online to play.
mm,
Like I don't require online to play Skyrim. I don't require online to
mm,
play the most recent like Wolfenstein or
yeah, true,
Dishonored or um I mean, I'm trying to think of like more. I mean, I don't think you need to be online
Like
to
God
play
of War,
Zelda, God of
like
War,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah,
So a lot of the true single player games, in fact, actually, the single player games are where things have actually stayed the same.
yeah.
And the cool part is that they're doing fantastic. Like I don't know if
Mhm.
you remember, but I think it was 2017 where like 90% of all the video game awards of that year were given to single player
Is
games.
that like when Witcher 3 was out?
No,
Or
I think that
before?
was
That was 26.
God of War year. God of War was 2017, right?
Okay. Oh yeah, when it won basically everything.
Yeah, it won Game of the Year.
Yeah, I know.
That year, all single player games won everything.
Yeah,
That was the same year that Zelda came out, Breath of the Wild.
that was Spider-Man too, as
Oh wait,
well.
no, wait, Zelda Breath of the Wild got Game of the Year. Wait, maybe that was 2018. That was Gears of
I
War.
mean, God of War.
I mean God of War, and
Gosh.
it was 2017 that was the Zelda year.
Okay.
But the year where Odyssey came out too. Super Mario
Oh
Odyssey
yeah,
was 2017, I
yeah,
think. But that year that those two games came out, like was like Cuphead came out, Stardew Valley had came
yeah.
out, like all of these single player games had come out. And I guess Stardew Valley is now multiplayer, but they did fantastic, and they continue to do
Yeah,
fantastic. They just don't continue to make money for like a year after they come out, and their development teams immediately move on to the next game.
yeah.
But as an experience of purchasing a video game, playing it, and then having
Hmm.
satisfaction having played it, single player
Yeah,
games are winning out above multiplayer games because multiplayer games
yeah.
have
With the
thrown that
quality.
feeling to the side
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
mean, the
just want you to
quality.
make you can never feel satisfied by a
Mm,
multiplayer game because then that means you won't buy stuff.
yeah,
Have to always feel like you're missing out, you're not getting things that other people are getting, and you're not, you know, you have to like whether it's unlocking something because you're really good at the game, the competitive
hmm,
system, spending enough money to open up boxes,
yeah,
or you don't have a skin and everyone else has a skin, and it's like this constant feeling of other
mm,
people having more than me, and I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough. Love that feeling.
yeah.
They torture us because it makes us spend more money. It's literally how
What's the?
current modern day multiplayer gaming works.
Yeah, it's all like baiting, kind of. It's like teasing you. You can get this or that, and like dangling it all in
Hmm.
front of you.
Or tying gameplay to it,
Oh my god, yeah.
making something like pay to win obviously continues that trend.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's still like a thing.
I mean, it ruins games, but people still spend money on them, so they continue to be made
I don't know.
because there's an addictiveness to being better than another person.
Yeah, like I always thought that like what would happen is the people that would buy pay to win would pay all the shit, be winners, and then everybody else is like, I'm not gonna buy, and now I'm just losing. I'm gonna quit. Either that, or like it's supposed to entice the rest of people to buy in to get to that
Yeah.
level. Like,
I
but
mean, it works apparently. In China, pay to win games
yeah,
make the most money out of all games.
yeah.
It's pretty bad actually.
Hmm.
We are significantly as a country comparatively to China specifically much less tolerant of pay to win.
Oh,
Actually, this is a much higher tolerance for pay to win in China, which is a fascinating statistic I found out.
that is very interesting.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up. We talked a lot about all the cool games growing up,
Yeah,
and I think we ended on a good note because it's kind of more future focused and like how games used to be these just like packages,
yeah,
fun content they give you, and they were like enjoy.
yeah.
And now it's like don't enjoy because if you enjoy too much, you won't buy all this stuff
Hmm.
that we're providing you.
Yeah, and it's just one last note that the best marketing for games is always like your friends. So like,
Oh yeah,
because like you can play like a single player game, you don't need anybody else to play it. But it's like, oh, I'm gonna get like border. I mean, Borderlands is also kind of single player co-op, but like Call of Duty, it's like guys, you were all getting this, and it's like now everybody's gonna go get it, and it's multiplayer. Otherwise, you have a fear of missing out. But if you
hmm,
just say, oh, I'm getting like God of War, and that's it. Like you're gonna play and then be like, okay, like I had this experience and I did it. I don't really need anybody else. You're not gonna convince anybody to do it.
right. And I mean, from a personal perspective, honestly, like I do actually prefer to play multiplayer games over single player games.
Yeah, so do I.
Because I just have more fun with my
Hmm.
friends, and
Hmm.
I know not everyone shares that feeling. I think a lot of
I,
people do though,
uh,
because we're
I,
social,
yeah,
creatures.
yeah. Well, I also get like the fear of missing out. I'm like, I could be completing this nice, awesome, cool story, or I can be like interacting with my friends and having a good time.
But yeah, I think that's gonna about wrap it up. Let us know in the
Uh,
comments what your guys' favorite games growing up were.
And if they ruin them over
Yeah,
time,
they probably did. They ruined about just about every
franchise.
franchise
Yeah.
that did well, that we all loved.
Yeah.
Or like canceled it and deleted it from existence. Okay. See you guys.
As always, thank you for listening and following.
Check us out every Thursday on YouTube, Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are available.
You can find us on Instagram at Unstoppable Force Podcast and Twitter at UForcePod for news and updates.
We'll see you guys next week. And
And
until
until then,
then, stay
stay
unstoppable.
unstoppable.